Namaskar. Welcome to Prakash on Basics. I am Prakash Zog. Last time I told you how the four major components of blood are separated by using the process of centrifugation. Obviously, the four major components are plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Today, I'll tell you about the biggest part in that, which is plasma. Everything that the body cells need is transported by this fluid, which is plasma. And everything that the body needs to get rid of is also transported by this plasma. What is it made up of? Plasma, 92% of it, close to 92% of it, is pure water. And there are about 7% of plasma proteins that are present in it. And there are hundreds of substances that are dissolved or suspended in it. And 55% of the blood that we have in our body is plasma. Uh, this plasma is straw colored or amber colored, ideally clear. Uh, 95% up to 95% it could be water, and its density because of these additional materials in it is slightly more than that of water, which is around 1.025 grams per cc or kilograms per liter. It comes to the same thing. So if you have a person of around 70 kg, uh, he would have close to about 3.5 liters of plasma in his body. Uh, there are certain clotting factors or agents within the blood. If these are removed, then the remaining part of plasma is known as blood serum. And you will come across this word when you read about a variety of reports and so forth. Um, all soluble compounds, ions, uh, various types of salts are all dissolved in this water component of plasma. It's, as I told you last time, a river in which all other necessary stuff floats. Now, when water in the body combines with electrolytes, that is ions and salts, uh, mm, that we absorb from food, this plasma gets formed. It's formed more from the absorption in the gut, basically the intestines and the stomach area. Uh, the other important proteins of the plasma come from bone marrow, from liver, from spleen, etc. Many of these are a part of the endocrine system of our body. Uh, Many of these words you may have come across when you read your blood reports and other reports. When you glance through them, many of the words that I'm going to talk of, you will come across. But there are so many of them, I can't mention all of them. So I'll mention only the most important ones and what they are used for, or how do they come to play, what do they really do. Um, and some of these I'll repeat um, when I go into a little more details now or maybe sometime later. Uh, Let me remind you something from basic chemistry. Um, what we have is something like salt or sugar, which can dissolve into something like water. Then the salts are usually referred to as the solute, which forms ions. And when it forms ions, the whole system tends to be an electrolytic solution that is produced. That means a liquid containing a lot of ions. Uh, there can be many solutes uh, and many different types of ions in the same solution. Uh, Nowadays, many of us know things like electral that is taken when you have upset stomachs and dehydration. Now, that's again a very large number of ions that are present in water. So, plasma is something very similar to this, uh, and it produces a large number of ions that are vital for our body's requirement, and they have to be transported to different points, and that's what is done by this plasma. So plasma is basically a solution of everything important for the body plus RBC, WBC, and platelets. And these are like driftwood or floating pieces that are present within the liquid. So plasma is the liquid medium part of the blood that we generally talk of. So let's talk of various things that are present. The first and the most important thing that is present is obviously the nutrients. These include glucose, amino acids, vitamins, and various minerals. Uh, these have all been absorbed from the gut. Gut basically is intestines, both of them, and stomach. And then uh, they are sent to different parts of the body. Uh, They, of course, their job is to release energy, take part in the metabolic activities of the body. And this naturally is going to produce everything. 100% is not consumed. So there are a lot of waste products. And these are also dissolved in plasma, and they are then brought back. Things like urea, creatinine, lactic acid, and others. Plus, there are nitrogen compounds, things like bilirubin, and that is also present. These are all brought to the kidneys where they are filtered. Actually, uh, during our respiration, that is breathing process, sometimes carbon dioxide is also produced at during reactions also. So these are converted into bicarbonates which are soluble in plasma, and then they are also brought around. There are also some nitrates that are brought around. A little bit of oxygen also gets dissolved. A little bit of nitrogen also, which gets dissolved in this plasma that we talk of. Then there are five important ions: potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium. They are all positive, and chlorine, which is negative. And all these ions are present in the fluid part of blood, which is the plasma. Uh, there are many endocrine glands throughout our body. It's a complete separate system. And basically, the word means the glands without ducts or tubes. They secrete their hormones directly into this blood plasma. Um, the hormones dissolve and then are taken to the required locations within the body, wherever the body needs them, and at whatever time it is required. Uh, you could have uh, hormones which are more like chemical messengers. They can trigger and take care of various reactions that take place. They control our metabolism, that is growth, anabolism, and catabolism. I talked of long back. Various growth processes, reproduction, digestion. Uh, like, for example, pancreas releases insulin, which everybody knows of when you talk of diabetes. Um, And then there are other glands like the thyroid, parathyroid, pituitary, adrenal, pineal. All these glands have their own secretions, and they are transported to the various parts of the body through this plasma that we have talked of. I'm going into details of these glands maybe sometime later. Um, and then I talked of something called as 7%. Uh, that is plasma proteins. So 7% of the total plasma that is present is special type of proteins, which is known as plasma proteins. And basically, uh, they fall under three categories. The largest category is known as albumin, which is around 58% of the total. Then there are globulins, which are 38%, and about 4% of it is fibrinogen. I'm giving you these names, no need to remember them, but they are very important. So I'll that's why I have mentioned names for you all. And what do they do really? That's probably more important. Um, that 58% of albumin that I talked of is a transport protein. That's one function. And then it has a second major function, and that is it maintains 80% of the osmotic pressure of plasma. Uh, plants take in water, and the water then goes all the way up, right up to the leaves. It doesn't have staircase to climb. It's more because of this osmotic pressure that is there, that is built up in plants. Similarly, in the plasma also, there is an osmotic pressure, and that is the one that keeps the RBCs in their typical shape. I'll go into details when I talk of RBC next time, but they are all biconcave systems, and if this osmotic pressure is not maintained properly, they'll just all crumple and shrivel down. So to prevent that, what you need is a chemical that will help and control this, and that is albumin. Uh, it it transports uh, all the things by joining or linking up to them, and takes them to the various parts of the tissues. They are required for repair work and for growth, metabolism, and everything. Um, it's essentially a very important substance and needs to be created every day. And that's what is done by the liver. Liver produces roughly 12 grams every day of this albumin. And the materials that are transported are also of a very large variety. So there are slight variations in the different types of molecules that are produced. They will link up to amino acids, to free fatty acids, to metallic ions, to phospholipids, to hormones, to variety of drugs, to calcium ions, bilirubin. This bilirubin is something that I will go into detail next time. Many of these words that I just mentioned, you must have seen in your blood reports many a times. So they are all present there. Mm. The second major chunk of plasma proteins is known as globulins. They are around 38% of the total added material that is there within plasma. Uh, these are all high molecular weight proteins, and there are, in this category itself, there are close to around 100 different proteins which are treated as globulins. Globule obviously means that they tend to remain in a spherical shape. uh, these are globulin material is basically insoluble in water, but is soluble in salt solutions, dilute salt solutions. And plasma is nothing but a dilute salt solution. So naturally, globulins can remain dissolved in them. These globulins themselves are categorized into three different types. So naturally, using typical Greek alphabets, you call them as alpha, beta, and gamma. Uh, these alpha and beta generally transport iron, lipids, and vitamins. And that gamma globulin have a different name. They are called immunoglobulins. There's a simpler word that is very common, and that is antibodies. Uh, Antibodies basically are antigen specific proteins. Uh, they bind to external threat or situation stuff that gets into the body, which is extremely small, microscopic, like bacteria and viruses. So they will lock on to them and prevent them from creating problems within the body. That's of course the first part of the defense mechanism. I told you of three things, and there is something more, 4%, and that is fibrinogen. The word includes the term partly fiber, so that's what it is. This fibrinogen is also produced from the liver and dumped into the blood. It's said to be 4%, but depends upon the requirement as and how it is. Um, this is basically the material used for clot formation. Whenever there is an injury, uh, blood begins to ooze out or flow out. Mm. That time, this fibrinogen reacts with another component known as thrombin and starts forming immediately fiber-like strands at the point where there is a breach or a break. And gradually, these fibers start linking up to each other and form a clot, which is hard, solid, and it prevents further flow of blood from that wound. So the clot formation process is associated with this fibrinogen, which gets converted into fibrin, which is the strands that are present. Then there is also one more factor that is transported by this plasma, and that is enzymes. These are special bioproteins that act as catalysts, which speed up the variety of bioreactions that are going on within our body. They have to be maintained at a particular temperature. All that control can be done through enzymes. These are a part and parcel of what is transported to the given location by plasma. And since plasma is fluid, one of the major aspects of blood that we talked of is temperature control. It is this fluid that tends to absorb and distribute heat to different parts of the body. And so conduction and regulation of heat is also a part and parcel of the activity uh, of plasma itself. So you've seen so many different uses of plasma. When you look at this, you start getting a feeling that probably this is the most important stuff that is there within our body. Not necessary. There are other things that are equally important. Some of them we'll come to when I start talking of the remaining ones, remaining three components next time that we meet. If you've liked whatever I have told you about, uh, like and subscribe to this channel. Uh, Tell your friends about the information that you have got. Let them also know your ability to interpret information. Uh, Discuss out when you look at your blood reports, go through the variety of names that I talked of. Some of them would be there, and whether they are at a required level or low or high, things could be very critical. For example, uh, things like potassium. It's supposed to be between a extremely specific value 4. If it even shoots up a little bit, if the potassium imbalance takes place, then Death is the only alternative that is provided. So things are very critical, and all that critical maintenance is done with the help of a fluid that prevails throughout our body, which is plasma. That's it for today. We'll meet next time to talk of the other components. Till then, namaskar.